Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to tonight's webinar, or it might be daytime, depending on what part of the planet you are on. I'm really excited to have all of you here to tune in and learn how to build up your online profile so that, you can advance your career, take it further, maybe even go global. You know that's my usual bias. And tonight I am really excited to be joined by Niels Reib. Hello, Niels.
Hello, Andrea, and thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to this as well. I've been working like crazy today to get prepared. So it was a good thing we just tested it earlier.
Yes, we tested out this new platform. I'd love it if people could write in the chat where you are attending from. I see some people that I know and some others that I don't know. So I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. Hi, Priya in Santa Barbara. Yeah. And Faye in London. I'm so glad you're here, Faye, because you're one of our hot seat participants tonight. So as we're waiting for some other people to join, I hope that you have found, Southend-on-Sea. Okay, wonderful. Nyakio. I need to learn how to pronounce your name properly because I see you on Facebook and you leave me great comments. So welcome, everyone. I am your host. I am Dr. Andrea Pennington. I'm assuming you might know who I am, although maybe this is your first time checking me out. I am the managing director of Make Your Mark Global, and we are a media production, content development, publishing, and personal branding agency with offices right here in the south of France and in the United States. And my business is all about helping you bring the best of you out into the world. So whether that's out in print form, in a book, or it's just launching your website or a blog or a podcast, or helping you bring your brilliance to the stage for your very first TED Talk, or speaking at conferences, or leading your own workshops, or developing an online course. My whole job is to help you bring your brilliance and your expertise and create a profitable business that allows you to be authentically you, no copycats, but be authentically you and make a dramatic influence in this world and impact. So I'm excited to share some of the tips and strategies that have helped me over a 20-year career in the media. And I'm really excited to share some of the experts that I meet along my worldly travels. Just last month when I was in Denmark, speaking in Copenhagen, I was surrounded by some really, really wonderful people who are eager and ambitious and ready to get their message out to the masses and to have a profound impact. And one of them is you, Niels. We instantly bonded, and I said, wow, you're hitting all the right notes here with the way you've launched your website and your autoresponder and your lead magnet. And I always joke because some people are like, lead magnet? What's that? So we're going to get into some of the marketing, jargon over the next few sessions to really help people understand how to build a profitable business that's based on your talents. So Niels, tell me and tell our audience a little bit about how you became what you are today. I mean, you were really this LinkedIn specialist. You are a career brand specialist, helping people really level up their online profile so that they can attract the kind of opportunities that would help them advance in life.
Yeah, exactly. And my story, the journey that I'm on today, started approximately 6 years ago. And I was in a position where I thought I had my dream job. I was an account manager at this fashion agency, and I was working here in Denmark and all over Scandinavia. And then, as many of you remember, back in 2009, 9, we had this little thing called the financial crisis, and it hit Denmark as well. And since I was the only one really the only employee at the agency I worked at, because it was only the two owners that was there besides me. Then I was the one that was easiest to let go. So I was fired back in the fall of 2009, and I'd never been unemployed before, and that went on to be an experience that I hope no one else will get, because that was really the it became the toughest time in my life. I didn't have a job. There was a relationship that went bad. I ended up in the hospital, and I ended up being homeless, all at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
So when I came out on top after that, I got really good help and everything. I felt like, hey, if my experiences and the things that I learned during that time, if that could help just one other person, it would be worth sharing my experiences and the things that I learned. So I set up this blog. I had absolutely no clue to what I was doing. I had no technical skills at all. Had never had a website. So I started with what Mac back then had, which was iWeb, and it looked like pages on Mac and everything else on there. So it was kind of safe for me to start there. So I set up my blog, and I started writing about the experiences that I had, and then things just started happening. I was, I got contacted by the media here in Denmark, and I started attracting people to my network from an industry I'd never been in. It was coaches and people who help unemployed people, career coaches, and all sorts of things. Just inviting me to connect on LinkedIn. I might add that I only had 7 connections on LinkedIn.
Really?
When I got fired. So I'm where a lot of people still are today.
Sure.
So I've been there, and we all have. But what happened was that I started to get all these invitations to connect with people from this industry that I never, had been in contact with. And slowly I started to get offers to go out and do talks, which, by the way, I just forgot, hated doing that, but I said yes anyway. And the first talk I went out and did, I wrote my bike out there that morning, and it just hit me. I didn't know how many people were going to be there. And well, I was supposed to be on for 2 hours and do this talk, and I'm still alive today. So it didn't go that bad. And the second time I got to do a talk was in front of 500 people. So it's just been one of those journeys where I've just said yes and embraced the opportunities that I've gotten based on all the connections that I've, and relationships I've built through sharing something that I'm very, very passionate about.
Yeah.
And that is pretty much what career branding is all about.
Yeah.
It is about sharing what you're passionate about out there, because there's this synergy, you will attract people with the same interests.
Yeah.
When you share what you're passionate about.
Yeah. I'm glad you shared that story, because there are 2 things that really strike me. One is I have met so many entrepreneurs who were in the same situation as you. They were laid off of their jobs, and they suddenly found themselves with a lot of skills, but not necessarily knowing how to build a business. And little by little, through trial and error, they ended up, kind of stumbling into building their career. And over time, like you, they've gotten a sense of expertise. I think the other thing is something that I know we're going to get into tonight, and that is by getting content out there. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a perfectly styled this, that, or the other. But the more content we place out into the cybersphere, the more we are going to attract those kinds of interactions. And, you know, I'm sure you have more stories and you'll share them tonight. And,
Oh,
you know, I have several myself that shocked me because I wasn't necessarily blogging with the intention of bringing in business, and yet that's what happened. And even on social media, you know, so we'll get into that. But I thank you for sharing that insight. If anyone would like to chime in the chat room and let me know, are you entrepreneurs? Are you working within a company and you want to leverage your LinkedIn profile and some of the things we're talking about tonight to maybe attract a better paying job or that next big gig? Feel free to launch in and tell us about that. So Niels, would you like to take over and lead us through some of these key elements?
Yeah. Before we jump into everything here, I'm just going to share the agenda for today.
Thank you.
Because I think that would kind of make sense.
Yeah, nice and organized.
For everybody to know what we're going to be talking about here. Let me just find that here, and I've got that there. And I think if we just take care of that.
Shall I make it large and make us go away?
Take it away.
Voila, there we go.
To begin with, you're in the right place. You're confused about LinkedIn, like I was years ago. And if you want to take your online presence to the next level, then we're going to be covering that really can help you do that. And if you want to build an excellent online career brand, then we are going to give you some really great pointers to what to do to really take ownership of your online presence. And if you're not sure how to grow your online network into valuable relationships, then I've got a lot of great stories and tips for you to do that. And I can see with us here today, I've got some of my peeps from the States as well. So that's awesome. And that's one of the things that I'll share with you later on. But the agenda here today is to go through, you know, your online presence today is really the most important thing in your career, basically, and it's going to be less important in the years to come. Then I'm going to give you 5 quick tips on how to maximize your LinkedIn profile in order to get in front of hiring managers and recruiters in order to attract new career opportunities or customers for that matter. And then we're going to go through, you know, how to strengthen your virtual connections to enhance your career as well. And having an authentic online career brand, how that will help you unleash your potential. And Andrea just touched a little bit on that with creating content for space. That is key. And then finally, we'll be talking about how to align your social media profiles with your personal website in order to create the best impact. And I can hear that we've got visitors.
Yeah, I will mute myself anytime the dog feels it to protect the household.
Yeah, no problem. And before we dive in, I just want to remind you to turn off your phones or dogs and other notifications that might come in and disturb you a little bit. And for those of you who stay to the end, I have a really special bonus to offer you guys, which I am sure, I hope that you'll really appreciate once we get there. So with that said, today, your first impression online will decide your future career opportunities. I don't know about you, but whenever you meet someone new, what is the first thing you do if you're just the slightest, curious about to know something about this person that you've met? I know that it's not just when it comes to your career. I know people who are in the dating environment does it as well. They turn to Google, of course, to find out, okay, who is this person? What can I, find on this particular person? And 93% of recruiters admit to scanning online profiles before inviting candidates in for interviews. That is an astounding number, that one there, which means that if your online profile and presence does not align with your resume that you send in for a job opportunity, then you're going to go in the no-go pile really, really fast. Because if your online presence doesn't reflect the kind of personality and character that a company wants to hire, then it's no-go. So that is why it's really, really important to take care of your online presence and really nurse your online reputation.
That's a really great point, Niels, because I know that that's the fastest way for my company to screen people. So, we're not necessarily hiring people, but when we're selecting people for media projects or casting, we check them out online. And it's the fastest way to just, to sift through hundreds of different inputs. We can just put it in that no-go pile if we instantly get a bad vibe from what we see online. May not always be fair, and we might be missing out on great talent, but when there's a glut of people in the marketplace for us to choose from, that's the fastest way for us to do it.
Yeah, and it's then you might sit there and think, oh, I shouldn't be online then. But that's a problem too, because 35% of employers, they won't hire you if they can't find you online. So you need to be online today. That's just the way of the world, I guess. And it's not going to stop there. So your online presence is your first impression today, in most cases, unless you meet someone at a networking event or other kinds of events. If you get an email from someone and from a company that you might be interested in, you're going to Google that person and that email. So it's just a way of the world, I guess, and it's something that we really need to think about when it comes to our career and how we come across online. I have a story to share with you here, and I'll just stop sharing this for a while because a couple of years back, I got an email from someone on LinkedIn that I was connected to, and I'm still connected to her. And she wrote me this long email explaining, she was so passionate about getting into this field, and she was just so frustrated that she didn't get called in for any interviews. And even though I was connected with her, I'd never met her. So what do you think I did? I mean, I Googled her, of course. And what happened was that once I put in her name there and the results came up, I wasn't surprised that she had a hard time getting a job, because out of the top 5 on Google, besides her LinkedIn profile, I found 3 other really, really critical hits on her name.
What were they?
One of them was a comment on the Danish Prime Minister's Facebook page.
Oh, that's high visibility.
Yeah. And it wasn't written in a very, how should we put it, nice tone. And the same went for a couple of comments that I found on some other sites, where she wrote everything in capital letters and the language was just bad. And I replied her on LinkedIn and told her, hey, I totally get, and I can really feel that you're passionate about wanting to do this, but I do also understand that employers won't even touch you if they just did the search that I did. And she was heartbroken, and she thought that those comments were long gone and everything. But like my good friend Wayne Denner, who's an online reputation expert. He says, it's what you posted in the past that'll come back and haunt you. And it sure did for her sake here. So just think every time before you post anything online, because there'll always be a way to find it. And for employers or recruiters to find those things. Shut down for your Facebook page so that not everybody have access to your posts, and do things like that if you feel like you have something to hide. I don't know. It's and don't want to share it with everybody. So
yeah, well, I know one of the things that you recommend that people do is Google themselves. So if anyone is curious to see what an outsider would experience, or a new potential customer, Google yourself and see what comes up in those first few hits, because it's based on volume and popularity of the medium. And so Facebook, Twitter, like those are bumped up right at the top. So if you've been posting naughty little stuff, just be aware that it could come back and bite you.
Oh yeah, and another little tip I'll give away here is to set up a Google alert on your name.
Yeah.
Because if you do that, then you'll get an email if your name should pop up in
Explain what
Google
that
searches.
is. Explain what a Google alert is, just in case people don't know.
Yeah, a Google alert is something that you can go to. If you go to alerts.google.com, then you can set up an alert. Just type in your name and set up an alert. And then anytime that your name should show up in a Google search, then you will get a notification through email that, hey, there's this post on whatever website, social platform or whatever, with your name attached to it. Is it something is it relevant for you, or is it not? And it's just a nice, easy way to stay on top of things, and to make sure that, hey, nobody else publishes anything about you, good or bad, online.
We do that for our authors, and that's how I recently found out that I was featured in a New Zealand newspaper. We set up a Google alert for the book, the book that just came out, and I was going through the list of hits, and I thought, New Zealand, oh, isn't this interesting? They picked up this story. So yeah, it's totally free, everyone. So set up a Google alert. Okay, so back to you.
And I want to just, one other thing that you can use Google Alerts for is to monitor potential employers.
Oh, okay, that's a great idea.
If there's this employer that you really, down the road would like to work for, set up a Google alert, and then stay on top of things whenever they're in the news, or they are launching new things, or whatever. Just stay on top of things there.
Cool.
Yeah. I think are we ready to dive into a little bit of LinkedIn now?
Yeah, let's do it.
I think we are. And let me just get my presentation going here again. There we go. And we are on. Yep. So I've collected these 5 quick tips to maximize your LinkedIn profile. And let me just ask you guys, how many of you are on LinkedIn today and get it, or are you confused? Just write in the comments, get it, or confused. Because I know a lot of people feel like this about LinkedIn, and they don't really know how to leverage. Get it, cool. Get it, and confused, cool. Yeah, a lot of people that I talk to, they are like, I'm on there, but I don't really know how to leverage my profile on there. So I've collected these 5 quick tips to maximize your profile. So good. Get your pen and papers out there. One of the
Yeah,
most important
so we
things.
have a lot of people who are confused and don't yet know how to use it and or leverage it. So I think this is going to be helpful to give you the first basics, and then we can even get more specific.
Yeah, yeah. The first thing that you need to be aware of with LinkedIn is that it's pretty much like Google. It's a search engine, and you need to find, I say, like 5 to 7 of your strongest skills and use those as keywords and focus on those throughout your profile. Because keywords, they function just like keywords in a blog post. For those of you who have websites and know a little bit about search engine optimization. So let's say you're a coach or are into event planning, then event planning should be one of your keywords, and it should be mentioned throughout your entire profile. It should be, as I've said here, it should be in your headline. I see a lot of people not leveraging their headline on LinkedIn, and you want your headline to be this, and I'm going to be talking a little bit more about that a little later. But your headline should draw people attention and want people, make people want to find out more about you. So you want to make an enticing headline. Then you want your keywords in your summary as well. And I'm going to dive into that as well. And just scatter it throughout the entire profile that you've got. How many of you guys have very clear keywords that you focus on your profile today? Just give me a heck yeah or nah in the comments. Nope.
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 Not me.
Nope. Sort of from Ole. Yep. Yeah, you see, because keywords, whenever a recruiter or hiring manager types in and looks for talent on LinkedIn, then they type in keywords. It could be key account manager, steel industry, for instance, and then they get all these hits on key account managers from the industry that they're looking for. So it's really important to have at least these 5 to 7 keywords that you really want to focus on. And as I say, it should be the keywords, skills that really makes you shine. Whenever you use those skills, then you do your best job or your best work. So I can see Faye's got a question.
Yeah, I think we'll get to that when we
Okay.
dive into the headline. Thank you for that, Faye.
Cool. So your keywords are, funny enough, key for your success on LinkedIn if you want to get in front of hiring managers and recruiters. So really put some thought into what kind of keywords you want to focus on here. Does anyone sort of have an idea of what they want to do with their keywords? Let me see if anyone would share some of their keywords that they could put in their profile.
Not so much. So one of the ways that I think of the keywords is there's 2 ways to look at it. You can look at nouns, or what you are, as you pointed out, an event planner or sex therapist or publisher. But you can also mention your skills within your keywords. Organizational development or innovation.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's important to mix it up a little bit, because of course a lot of people will look for titles, job titles, but also for some of the skills that is needed with those titles. So I think it's important to mix it up a little bit. So yeah.
Okay.
And tip number 2 is having an engaging summary. I see a lot of people not really putting a lot of thought into their summaries, and it's a shame, because this is really where you can. That's actually the only place on your LinkedIn profile where you can get a sense of the personality behind the profile. So put some thought into to writing an engaging summary to introduce yourself. Mention some of your highlights and your achievements in your summary as well. Don't make it too text heavy. You want it to be really easy on the eye. Use bullets, short paragraphs, and the way I like to present it is to have a short introduction of yourself, then have a strong middle where you present some of the achievements that you've made, describe some of the things that you've accomplished using some of your keywords, and then at the end, and I see very few people using this call to action in the end of your summary. Ask people to connect with you, or call you, or whatever. But I'm going to be talking a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I'm rewriting my summary based on the stuff I've learned from you. I don't really leverage LinkedIn that much because I guess most of my prospecting comes in other ways. But one of the things I like about some of the summaries that I've reviewed since meeting you is when someone is writing in first person. Like mine is still written, it says, Dr. Andrea did blah, 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 blah. Which is silly, because we all know that I'm the one that wrote it and I'm the one representing it. So I believe that you should put it in first person, where you're introducing yourself, you're talking about your achievements and the things that you're passionate about, or the experiences you've had. And then to phase question, rather than saying seeking opportunities in your headline, which I agree with you, Faye, I think it comes across negative, but in the call to action in your summary, if you are looking for, whether it's connections or you're looking for a new job opportunity or whatever that call to action is, I think the most appropriate place would be in your summary. What do you think, Niels?
I completely agree. You should write it in the summary, actually, if you're looking for new opportunities, and put a huge call to action at the end, stating that, hey, I'm open for business here, and I would love to hear from you if you feel that my summary, my profile is something that is of your interest. So definitely make sure that your headline is focused on your on your keywords, because that's the way people find you. No one is gonna search for looking for new opportunities when they look for something on LinkedIn. No recruiter is gonna write that. So don't use any of your 120 characters in your headline to state that. It's a waste of characters when you can get your keywords in there instead. So, but let me just I'm going to break it down to you here. The introduction of your summary. I don't know how many of you know Simon Sinek. He wrote the book Start With Why a couple of years ago, and I really love the work that he does, and having this why statement with starting. I've got a couple of statements that I can use there. My own why statement is that I believe that we as people produce our best work when we feel good and we do what we love, because then we are less stressed and we've got better energy and we got more to give to the most important people around us. So that's why I'm so passionate about career branding, because it's all about attracting better career opportunities so that people can do the work that they love. So, and then you have the value proposition. And you might think, hey, this is more like a business talk, but in today's job market, you are your own business, even though you're an employee. And that's just the way of things, the way things have evolved. We really need to think. I just did an interview the other day with a Danish union magazine for the financial institute or union, and the journalist there, she told me that, well, this is very much an entrepreneurial mindset that you're describing. And I said, yeah, because that's what it'll take in the future job market, to have this more of an entrepreneurial mindset than an employee mindset, simply because there's no job security anymore, and you need to be on top of things, and you need to be out there and selling yourself, which again is where career branding can come in and be very, very helpful to attract opportunities while you're in a job. So you really need to have a much more, I'm not going to say salesy approach, but more of a, creating value to our surroundings, because that will help you attract the right kind of opportunities to you. And here, how many of you have a value proposition? Let me just
yeah, that's a good one. It's like, what is that end result that you really provide for people?
Yeah, exactly. And this, I think, is a great way to start your summary, because that will get people's attention, and that will make them curious to go in deeper if it resonates with them. So creating a value proposition and start out your summary with that is just a very powerful way to do it. And after the introduction, we go to what I call the strong middle, and this is where you really lay it on and focus on your achievements, the results that you've created. And you want to use story here, because again, just putting out numbers and not really describing what you do. I mean, if you just write your achievements, it's people will have a harder time relating to it. But if you use story while you do it, pick like one or two of your achievements and tell a story about how it came along. Because that's something that people will really resonate with, and they'll remember it as well. So, and then I want you to list your top skills, your keywords, like I've listed on here. Just put your keywords in there, and you can even, if you list them in bullets, describe what you do when you use the difference and the value you create when you use your strongest skills. And I can see it's hard to create a value proposition. It's something like I usually say, it's like making a homemade red wine sauce. You put in the ingredients and you put some seasoning in there and some wine, and then you taste it, and it needs a little bit more of this, and then you add some more wine, and then you add some more seasoning, and then you keep tasting it until it's just right. And that's how I wrote my value proposition. And it took maybe like 6 months of going back and forth until I finally felt like, okay, this is it. This is what works. So yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah, I think this is really key information that a lot of people don't think through. I had a conversation with someone last week about this very concept. It's like, well, I'm sort of a worker bee, I'm just a supporter in this organization. And for me, when I have a really great assistant, that takes so much pressure off of me. When I have someone that I can trust to either do some scheduling for me or to arrange an event for me, it lowers my stress. It gives me more confidence. It gives me more time to focus on the things that I need to do. So when I helped this person recognize that those are the values that she adds, then it's easier to put it into words to say, I am great at project management. I help busy entrepreneurs reduce stress and overwhelm so they can focus on, building their business. Like that's value that anybody could understand. So you really do have to kind of think through, in these kind of weird sentences. It's like, okay, what are the end results that people get? What do people come back and tell you time and time again about, oh, thank you for that session today. I feel so much more confident, or I slept better that night, or whatever. If you focus on the end result or the success that you've created for people, then you can start to pull that into your profile.
Exactly. And it's hard for most of us, to be honest, to see ourselves in that light. But it's great to have a coach or someone there to help you realize these things, because for each of us, and I'm gonna throw out a quote from Derek Sivers, who says, what's obvious to you is amazing to others.
Yeah.
And I love that, because it just, it's so true. I mean, what I know, to me, I kind of, it's obvious the things that I know, but it might not be obvious to the person next to me. So, and that goes again for sharing what you know. But again, the work that you do, yeah, it's obvious to you, but the very value that you create is amazing to others by just doing what you do. And it's great to see you there, Catherine, from Little Rock, Arkansas. But yeah, it's really something that if you have someone that you can kind of like talk, to this about these things with, someone who knows you, that would be great, because it is sometimes it can be hard to figure it out yourself.
Yeah. All right, let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, we are keeping it rolling here. The call to action at the end, we just touched on that. And in a situation where you're looking for opportunities, you should definitely put it in your call to action. Tell the reader, the visitor, that, hey, I am open for business, and let me know if you've found my profile interesting, and make it easy for people to get in contact with you. Because even though you're not, if you're not connected with someone, then they need to connect with you unless they have a paid profile, and then they can just send you an email. But put your email and phone number at the bottom there, so that they can just call you right away if they really like your profile. And the same goes for business owners. Put a link, put your email, put your phone number, put your website in the call to action. Or just invite people to connect with you as well. You should actually do everything, I think. Do all of it. Yeah. How many of you have a call to action in your summary as it is now? And would you consider putting a call to action in there as it is now?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep.
A lot of yeses,
Yep.
yeses, and Faye's saying she's already itching to change her summary. Yeah, well, just hold on, honey. You still have the hot seat coming.
We still have the hot seat. Yep. So yeah, and it's just it's so important, and I'm gonna talk a little. I'm gonna mention this when we go to the hot seat, because I actually have a comment for Faye on her summary there.
Okay.
So beware. Let me let's just move on here. So your professional headline. I see a lot of people, as I mentioned earlier, they're not really leveraging their professional headline on LinkedIn. And it's a shame because, as I said, this is actually, along with your picture, the driver to your profile. So you really want to not just put your employer in the headline saying, hey, I'm an accountant at company. No, you want to put in your keywords. It could be key account manager, and then a couple of your skills in there as well. But I just see a lot of people not really leveraging their headline. And when you've worked out your value proposition, then you could use that as your headline, or actually, you probably have to narrow it down a little bit in order for it to fit in your headline, where you have the 120 characters. But put in a statement, or just put in your keywords in your headline, because that is the most effective way of you getting in front of the right people, whether that being recruiters, hiring professionals, or customers for that matter. I saw one guy who put a very bold statement in there. He said, hey, I've helped 6 businesses reach $1 billion. Are you going to be the 7th?
Nice. It's bold. It's bold, and it would get people's attention and make them want to click to read the rest of that profile.
Exactly. But he didn't use any keywords. So that could work as well, you know.
But doesn't the LinkedIn algorithm work? So if I were a recruiter, or if I were, you know, I'm looking for an interior designer, if I put that in as a search term, it's going to bring up profiles that have that keyword somewhere in the profile, not just the headline.
Yeah, it's gonna, but okay, now we get a little technical here. The more you have completed your profile, you have different levels of completion of the profile. And say you look for an interior designer, then the algorithm will show the interior designers who have the best completed profile first.
Okay. So there's a preference in terms of the ranking then. But yeah, for that other example with someone who made a bold statement, as long as they had interior designer in their profile and a fairly completed profile, they would come up. And then if I were just looking and I looked at this picture, hopefully it's a really engaging headshot, and then read that bold headline, I'd be pretty likely to click that one.
Exactly, and that brings me on to the next thing right here, because it shows I did a little magic with my own profile, as you can see. Which one of these would you be more inclined to click on?
Definitely the one with the photo. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's so important for you to have a photo on your profile, because as it says here, you know, profiles that have a headshot gets up to 14 times more visitors. And this example here shows pretty good why, because yeah, and without a headline, it's just a very, very blah profile. I couldn't find a better word for it. Um, so, you need to have an engaging headshot. And I'm probably not, probably don't have to mention this, but don't use a photo from last Friday night. Don't use a photo from the last vacation. Use a nice headshot where your face takes up most of the space on the photo there.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see some teeth. Smile.
Great.
So yeah, that's really, really important as well in order to get attention on LinkedIn. Having that profile and having an engaging headline. So, and then another thing that I think is really, really important, and a lot of people might miss out on, is getting recommendations. It's really social proof of the rest of your profile, and for people to read what other people say about you, and the best way to get recommendations, if you have a hard time asking for them, then give recommendations to your to people in your network that you work with, because then they will be more inclined to give you a recommendation back.
Yeah, but hopefully you've had some good success in your career, or some client that you've worked with on a project, or even colleagues. It doesn't even have to be people you worked for. It could be people you worked with. LinkedIn makes it really easy that you can send an automated response that just sort of says, hey, would you recommend me? Which, send those to 10 people. And if you only get back 2 recommendations, well, at least you're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly. And in that auto invitation, so to speak, it's totally okay to ask to be recommended on special, a project that you worked on together, or specific skills that you've listed as keywords, of course. Yeah. Because that's a way to get those keywords into your recommendations as well, which again will help you rank better in searches.
Nice.
So yeah, and because then it's other people, other people's opinion about you, and when they write and mention your keywords, then it's great for your ranking.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on here. Just a roundup here. Having this go-giver mindset has been key for me since I started my blog back in January of 2012. Share relevant articles on LinkedIn, blog post videos, because that's a way for you to again get your smiling face out there, your name out there, and create value for your network. And then I think it would really help you as well to find a couple of groups, not too many, but then pick those groups that are most relevant for you in your career, and then be active in there. Again, share your knowledge, be helpful to people in the groups, because that's another great way to build your network, because you're in the group with other people that have the same interests as you do, and there's definitely something that you can talk about with these people that you share interests with. And how many of you blog on LinkedIn who is on here today? Because blogging on LinkedIn is another way that you can actually make your profile a little more interesting for people to visit as well, because it'll have your blog posts shown on your profile for people to look through. So no one's blogging on LinkedIn. I am. Yeah, I am too, but I'm a little. I think people should do it, but I'll come back to why I think they should do something else too. But that's a little later. I share from my website. That's great, Renelle. And that's okay, I'll take it now then, because that's what I wanted to say. Because you need to be aware of one thing when you're on LinkedIn or any other social media platform for that matter, and that is that you don't own any of the content that you share there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's really key. You're not in control whatever you do on social media. You're not in control. You're in control of the things that you share, but you don't have ownership of it. And that's why I think it's great, Renelle, that you write the content on your website and then share it. That is perfect. But you could also write blog posts on LinkedIn that refer to blogs that you've written on your website. So you give people a valuable teaser on LinkedIn, and then refer it to, dive in deeper on your website.
Mm-hmm.
That's the strategy that I would use, because, to be honest, no one knows where LinkedIn will be in 5 or 10 years. So for us to put all of our best content on LinkedIn, to me it's a little I like to be in control, and I'm not if I do that on LinkedIn.
Yeah. I still recommend that people who are particularly interested in a business-oriented audience, if you are trying to attract new clients or prospects or relationships, to do some sort of blogging. And like you described, Niels, if you're just using an introductory paragraph that's slightly different than the way you worded it on your website, and then you give a click through to your website, it's great. But I find that so many more of my business clients who blog on the LinkedIn platform, they're getting so many more shares, because for people who keep their LinkedIn profile open during the day and they see these little notifications coming up, it's easy to read there as opposed to having to click to somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is that you don't just put in a short paragraph and then link to your website. You should actually, I'm not saying that you should rewrite your content from your website, but you should write a post that in itself creates value.
Yeah.
And then at the bottom, like I've done a couple of interviews. I interviewed both Simon Sinek and Bob Burg, who's the author of The Go-Giver, or co-author of The Go-Giver. And what I've done is that I've taken out a couple of the key things from the interview, written about them on LinkedIn, and then linked to the interview on my website.
Mm-hmm.
So that people can take some value from the blog post that I've written on the website or on LinkedIn. And if they want more, then they could dive in on the website.
Yeah, good stuff.
Because if it's just, if you just put in a link as a blog post on LinkedIn, I don't think that doesn't create any value for people. Then you should just share your blog post as an update.
Yeah.
So,
which is a very different thing. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yep.
All right, we're coming up on the top of the hour, and I want to leave time for questions, but we still have hot seat to get through. So let's keep it moving.
Get to the hot seat, and that's right where we are now. And I'm gonna bring out Faye's. I'm just gonna stop sharing that, and then I'm gonna share Faye's. Let me just see here.
Oh, Lucia is having issues logging in, so she's not here. Sad face.
Okay.
That's all right. She can get the recording.
Yeah. Let me just get this out, and then we get.
Do you want me to
here.
Make it full screen again?
Yeah, that would be nice.
Otherwise, we can't really see it.
Yeah.
Dun dun dun! Here we go, Faye.
There we have Faye, and I have written a couple of notes here, and I think probably, Faye, you're gonna, the thing that I'm missing right here is your introduction and your summary at the very top, where you go straight to the experience. And that's to me, it's more of a, I like to get to know the person and get a feel for the person. And if that is of interest to me, then I will definitely go down and look at the experience. I really like the way that you listed your experience right here with the bullets, and that's perfect. You could do more of that down in the more of that down in the experience section here. And then on your profile, I would love for you to, as I mentioned, move this summary up on top, because then you get these guest blog posts and get some visuals on your profile as well up there. And I like that you've put in some of your projects here, and there's links to those.
So Faye is asking, how does she move the summary so that it's on the top? She thought that it was on the top for everyone, but it's not.
Okay, let me just show you on my profile here. Let's see. Let's do this. And when you're in here, this is how you see your own profile. And as you can see here, my blog posts are on the very top of my profile here. And you can move these sections around just like that. Oh, I can't move that to the top because that's the blog post. But these additional information, I can move that up on top of the summary, and boom, there you go. And let's move the summary back up again. And I like that you put links in your summary as well, Faye. So that's really that's really cool. As I mentioned, it gives you some visuals to your profile. One thing that I missed, now I just need to find my notes here because I took a couple of them. It struck me that I could tell that you don't really have focus on keywords on your profile. So that's something that you can work on there. The ones that came up would be event management. You mentioned that a couple of times, along with coaching. I can't really see.
Can you pop back over to her screen?
There we go.
Profile.
Yep. I can't really see who it is you're coaching. Who is your target audience for coaching? So if you could get that in front of add that to your profile, that would be great. And then you need to work a little bit on your education section down here as well. For I'm sure you've got a lot of great education here that you could add there. Otherwise, it's pretty good, and it's, again, you should see if you could get some more recommendations, like I mentioned in the other, when we talked about the 5 tips.
So let's go back up to her headline.
There we go.
So co-active coach, facilitator, rising star award winner, and change maker. Yeah.
To me, co-active coach, I have no idea what that means.
Nor do I.
And that's why I feel like, having a statement up here, a value proposition up here, is something that really can grab people's attention. Because it's awesome that you've got that Rising Star Award winner, which you mentioned down in your experience section as well. But this doesn't really, I'm a little confused about what it is that you do. So there's definitely something there that you can work with. Well, not as confused as me, hopefully, Faye.
Well, you're working on it, Faye. You're a work in progress. Yeah. But
exactly.
but you're right, Faye. I mean, and this is true for everyone. If you yourself aren't clear then naturally you're not going to be able to communicate with clarity to other people to create the experience and the expectation of what it would be like to work with you. So that's why this sort of precision will be really helpful.
Yeah. So my advice here would be to try to narrow down and find your 5 to 7 keywords and skills, and put those in your headline.
Yeah, and I would take out, the coactive coach, unless that's a specific type of coaching, which I've never heard of, but I don't know. And facilitator, you're a facilitator of what? Saying you're a facilitator doesn't tell me what you facilitate.
No. Exactly.
So, okay.
So until you've created this value proposition or why statement that you can use, I would just focus on your keywords, because with the situation you're in where you need to get in front of hiring managers and recruiters, then the keywords are the way to go here, for sure. And then get the summary up there, and then again, once you've chosen the keywords that you want to focus on, then make sure that you mention them throughout the entire section here of your experience and in the summary. So if you have any questions, Faye, then please let me know. I can see that you've been active on LinkedIn the last couple of days and weeks, so that's perfect. And I don't see any blog posts on LinkedIn either, but that's another thing that you can where you can begin and leveraging your presence on there. So besides that, I don't really have any more comments.
Should we move to Lucia then?
Yeah, I've got her ready here. Then we have Lucia here, and I've got, once again, here we see this type of headline where policy assistant to the director of the European Commission. This is typically, the job description that's up there. It doesn't have any keywords other than policy assistant. So there's some room to work with there, and for some development there. The summary is very, very short. I would love to get more of a feeling of what it is that makes Lucia passionate about this transformation of the public sector, and really feel her more than I do here, and then elaborate a little bit on the World Economic Forum's Globe Shaper would be interesting as well, and just as well with the experiences that she's had from the e-government business analysis and the CSR pioneering. So there's really room for more here.
Right, because right now it's just a list of stuff, but if she could build it into full sentences about what she's contributed or what she's gotten out of these experiences, it would come to life more.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're going to use some story there to describe why she's so passionate about this, and maybe some of the achievements. And I think she's had a lot from looking at her resume here. So I bet she's got a lot of stories to share. So that's one. And then and that's again the contact information here. She's got a link to a blog, which I don't find relevant because it's not in English. So I have no idea what it's about, but it's not relevant either because the last post is from the beginning of, I think it was 2013. So maybe not that relevant to link to on here. But if you have a personal website, that would definitely go into go in there and blog there. And what else do I have here? Again, the keywords, I have no idea from looking at this, from what to expect and what Lucia wants to focus on here. And again, there's room for improvement in the descriptions of each of her positions here. I believe you've got like 1,000 characters to work with here for each position. So put in, figure out your keywords and make sure to weave them in there in the descriptions here. And what else do we have here? Yeah, I really like that down here somewhere. She's got her projects, and that's all great. Let me just see where we found it. Oh yeah, there it is. The additional information here where she lists her email address. But again, I would add some more to this advice here is to, hey, feel free to connect with me. If you feel like there's a match, then feel free to reach out to me. And if it's an urgent matter, you can reach me at my, the email there. Not a lot of people fill this section out. But it's make it easy for people to get in contact with you. That's what LinkedIn is about. It's all about connecting and building your relationships and network. So, and then there was one thing that just like with Faye, there was no blog posts on LinkedIn, but then I could also tell that Lucia haven't been active on LinkedIn for at least 2 weeks. Which again, if you want to get noticed on LinkedIn, then you need to be active in order to get your name out there. So, and again, she could use a few more recommendations as well, just like Faye.
Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty much what I've got here for Lucia. So let me stop sharing that and get back to.
So Birgit is asking, how frequent is active? If we want to tell people to get active, do you recommend that they blog weekly or what?
On LinkedIn, I would say a blog post a month, because I feel like you should put your content somewhere where you're in control. So to me, my number one advice would be get your website, blog on your website once a week, twice a month, at least. And then use some of that content, write about some of that content on LinkedIn as well. So kind of reuse the content that you've written for your website and slightly change it for LinkedIn so that you don't get duplicate content. So, so I'd say, yeah. And then of course, share updates a couple of times a week. Whenever you come across an article online or a blog post or a video that you feel like, hey, this is interesting and this provided value for me, then share it on LinkedIn. And
that's a good point. Because I did have a conversation, I think it was with Lucia, who said, listen, I have a job. I'm not looking, unless she could get promoted and get to the UN. She's like, I've just started at this current post. What would I, my current job, what would I be sharing in a post? And I said the same thing, like, well, share an update. If something interesting was published about the UN, or there was some, person in the European Commission that did something
webinar that you're going to be on.
You share those, because those updates reflect what you're interested in. So if I land on your profile and I look at the things that you've shared updates about, even if you weren't the one that wrote them, but you shared them, that's still giving us a clue into what you're really interested in, what you're really about.
Yeah, and then another thing is that whenever you share something and your contacts comment on it, likes it, or whatever, then your update will go out to their network. And you will get in front of their network like that.
Right.
So that's another way for you to really just get out and as long as you just provide value, don't be afraid to flaunt it. Anyway.
Value.
Value. But share updates, if not daily, a couple of times a week, maybe, at least. And it, as I just said, I don't think, Andrea, you got that, but share the webinar that you're going to attend. You know, things that you're going to attend, events, whatever it might be, you know, because if you find value in it, then most likely some of your contacts will as well.
Mm-hmm. Great.
So, yeah. And I'm afraid the time is just flying by here, man. So let me just get out my get this thing out here, because let's talk a little bit about how to strengthen your virtual connections in order to leverage your career opportunities. The thing that I'm doing today, I'm working online, and what I like to do to build relationships, because I differentiate between connections and relationships.
Right.
We can all have thousands of connections, but if we don't create relationships with these people, then to me, it's not very valuable. Because the way I see it is that, hey, if I were to recommend someone in my network, I wouldn't do it based on a pale LinkedIn profile. I would have had to have met the person, if not over a cup of coffee in real life, then at least on Skype, so that I get a feel for what kind of person this is, and you know, yeah, just feel their passion and their personality. So I use Skype a lot to get to know people. And Catherine, who's on here today, is a great example. We met on Periscope about a year and a half ago now, and we have monthly, I would say, catch-ups on Skype. So yeah, she's still here. So and you know, she's an entrepreneur, and I do my stuff, and even though it's in completely different areas, she's an interior designer, then we still have things to help each other with and inspire each other with. So it's just an awesome way to build your network and create relationships with people from all over the world. And I want to just mention this as well. When you connect with people on LinkedIn, give them a reason to connect with you. Whenever you connect with someone, always write a personal invitation. Don't just press that connect button and then let that.
Hi, I'd like to add you to my network on LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly. I rarely, unless it's someone that I know, of course, I'll accept it. But otherwise, sometimes I write this person and I ask, you know, hey, thanks for the interest in connecting.
Tell me why.
I can't remember that I've met you. Could you like refresh my memory? And if we haven't met, just drop a couple of lines and let me know why you think would be interesting. So what I do and what I've had success doing when connecting with people on LinkedIn is to write, you know, create a baseline. Hey, I've come across you through your blog, the post that you shared, or whatever it might be. So you create that baseline, and then I say, hey, I really liked what I read, and I thought that it would be awesome to connect, and I hope that I could be helpful to you somehow. That's pretty much the template that I use, and I just you know, fine tune for every invitation that I send out.
Yeah, when I get those kinds of emails, the dog has her own version of creating a relationship. when I get those kind of emails from LinkedIn, because I get tons of them, and sometimes if they haven't bothered to write me a personal note, I generally don't even read them. But if they did write a personal note, because anytime someone sends you an invitation on LinkedIn, it comes to your regular email account. So if it looks interesting enough, I'll click through, kind of check out their profile to see if I, feel like there is, some good resonance between us. But I'm glad that you bring this up, because it's the quality of the relationship, to me, that's most important. Like, I remember someone who was saying, oh, once you get to 500 connections, you get to a certain rank or a certain status. And I'm like, okay, that's nice to show how many connections you have, but this isn't like Facebook where you're just counting followers. I want quality interactions. I don't want to get these spammy messages from people, because I don't know, for me, LinkedIn is a wholly different arena, as apart from Facebook.
Oh yeah, completely. And another thing it shows when you write a personal invitation to people you want to connect with is that you've spent some time, researching this person.
Yeah.
And who doesn't like that? Most people are going to be flattered by it, and will be more inclined to. They are going to accept your invitation then.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's just you'll do yourself a favor to spend a couple of minutes to do that. So if you want to create relationships. So and the next thing that we should talk about, is there any questions, by the way?
I haven't seen any new ones come in. The one that we missed before was from Birgit, and it was about if you're writing your personal intro, that intro part, if you're representing a company, then you wouldn't necessarily write in first person I, but I would write still in first person we, as in we do blah, 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 blah.
I mean, it's still your personal LinkedIn profile. Otherwise, you should have a company page on LinkedIn. So even though you're in a company, it's your introduction. It's the introduction to you, and of course, you can then write a little bit about what you do at the company you're in. I'd say, because it's still your personal profile, unless you have a business, then you should actually create a page for your business on.
Which is a little different, because it's more of just like the old yellow pages in America. So Birgit is saying, if they know I am only me, only one person. What do you mean, if they know?
Well, I mean.
What do you mean by that, Birgit?
Yeah, I think I know. You should, when it's just you. I know a lot of people wants one, single person businesses wants to seem bigger. But I think a lot of people want to do business with people and not businesses. Yeah,
absolutely. She's saying if it's only one person, should she use we? No. If you're the one delivering the service, if you are the coach, if you are the speaker, if you are the healer, whatever you're doing, if it's you, it's you.
Yep.
I wouldn't beef it up, because then people are going to think, okay, well, you said you had a team, or you said we, who else is with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
me and my dog.
Me and my noisy dog. So Nyakio, I still want to know how to pronounce your name correctly, Nyakio. She's asking what time we're supposed to be finishing. It's already, for me, 7:23 over here, and I like to kind of keep things short and sweet, which we haven't done. How many more points do you need to get to? I know we want to talk to people about how they can interact.
I've got two more here.
Okay. So let's say we're going to end at 7:30. I'm
gonna we're gonna do one more here, and then we're gonna finish it up here.
Fabulous.
And the last one here that we've got is how having an authentic online career brand will help you unleash your potential. And this is where the having your personal website come into play. because that is the only place online where you're in complete control. So having your personal domain, your name.com whatever you want, is the only way that you can take complete control of your online presence. And having a website, to me, has changed. I mean, it brought me on the journey that I started 6 years ago, or 4 or 5 years ago now. And all the content that you create on your website will, every time you write a blog post, it's like opening a door for people to walk in to your home base. Just recently, I haven't done talks about personal leadership in just about 2 years, a little more than 2 years actually. And because of the content that I created 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I just got 2 invitations to do 2 talks within the last 2 months, based on content that I created. So you see, that's like doors. All the blog posts that I created back then are still out there. And I still get to do these talks that I really enjoy, because I know that my story and the things that I bring to people when I talk about these things are something that they get motivated by and they get inspired by. And so it's just, I haven't done anything to actually market the talks, but I have Google as my promoter.
Yeah.
And you can do the exact same thing for your career if you have that website up there with your name on it.
And the more content you produce, the better. Even if it's microblogging, even if it's shorter blogging. You know, earlier today in the other webinar that I gave at lunchtime, if you're not a writer, for speakers, you can always speak into your smartphone and create a podcast. It doesn't mean you have to be trying to compete to be the #1 in your category, but the more content that you have out there, the more that people are going to get a sense of who you are, what you represent, what your expertise is, what your energy is all about. And that's going to create that stickiness factor where people will have that recognition of you. They can become followers if they want to sign up for an e-newsletter or subscribe to your RSS feed or subscribe to your podcast. I just really believe in creating content, because the more content you create, #1, the better you're going to be at creating content and establishing yourself. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you gotta practice. I never really practiced writing, but I never used to do any of the things that I'm doing today. But with practice, I never had any experience with websites, and today I built them, you know, and set them up and everything myself. So it's just a matter of getting out of that comfort zone and just take that little step outside there and just do it and create great content, or at first content, and then over time you will develop that muscle and become, you know, really great at it. So yeah,
there it is.
Well, it's about that time where I promised at the beginning, I think, if you stayed to the end, I had something little special for you. And it's about that time. Yay. And I can see that Andrea, she's put something in the offer there, and I want to share what I've got for you. So I've put that up there, and if you, Andrea, could blow it up a little bit. There you go. Because you've been on here tonight, I want to honor you with giving you this awesome bonus for my online LinkedIn course. It's a 4-week course followed by an $8 a month membership, which I'm going to give you if you buy this. I've put in here before the webinar ends, but I'm going to extend it for a couple of days. Well, let's say within the next 48 hours.
Uh-oh. Can everyone else still hear Niels? For me, you dropped out. Uh-oh. Niels, are you still there? We can't hear you anymore. So while we're waiting for his internet connectivity to kick back in, so I think this is for those of you that need the guidance and the step-by-step instructions so that you can actually write the stuff down from your keywords to your introductory paragraph, how to beef up your experience so that you really show off your skills. I think it's a great value to get his 4-week online course. And with the bonuses that he's included, giving you a one-on-one Skype session, that's the kind of feedback that you're going to want to get. That anyway, he'll come back. That's the kind of feedback that most people tell me they need. The people that I work with are like, okay, you just shared so much content. It's like you need the kind of step-by-step guidance to like sit down and only focus on the headline. Like you literally think through all of your keywords or think through what you are, whether it's a coach or a contractor or whatever that is. And then be able to share it with someone, a coach, a mentor, or a community, as we often do, so that you can get feedback on, are you actually making your point as clearly and concisely as you want? Are you actually making it so that everyone understands what your offer is? I know that this is not always part of our talents, you know. For me, I am kind of a, what am I? Communication is my thing. So I'm really big into dissecting words and their meaning. You know, some of my clients may not like it, but I take them back to the origin of certain words. But the language that we choose to use is what will create that resonance in your potential audience. So let's see, I am inviting Niels back on to share the stage, as it were. So I hope this is really helpful for you, and I hope that you will take Niels up on his offer. As this is the end of the year, this is generally a time when people are thinking about, you know, how do I take my career to that next level? As you're thinking about the new year, what do you want to create for yourself, and how are you going to actually get there? For most of us, the best way to get there is in community. So Niels, I see that you're online. I've sent you the invite, but you might need to like refresh or something if you're not seeing the invitation to share the stage, because I think it would be really helpful if you come in and if anyone else has questions. Oh, Catherine says she's taken Niels' LinkedIn course and would highly recommend it. Awesome. Awesome. You know, one of the things that it's for those people who are in a particular business, maybe you're in a service business, especially, okay, he's back. Do you see your little, here we go, share stage. There we go. Let's see if you can see my invitation. One of the things I was sharing was the person who is now working with me, hey Niels, the person who is now working with me, Livingston, as one of my copywriters, and I mean, he does far more than that. He actually pitched me on LinkedIn. He had done work with one of my colleagues, well, with two of my colleagues, Runa Magnus and Thorana. And he sent me a message saying, hey, you know, I've worked with these fabulous ladies. I'd like to work with you. And he gave me this full review of things that he'd seen on my profile and on my website. And he said he'd watched both of my TEDx's. So he had done really extensive research. So of course I immediately called Runa and Thorana and said, hey, I just got, you know, this really great pitch from someone on LinkedIn. They had high recommendations of him, and now he's been working with me for the last few months, and I'm like, oh, he has saved me. And that was all grace to LinkedIn. So Niels, tell us about your course and what people can expect.
Yeah, I don't know where I I lost you guys, or you lost me. I don't know what happened there.
Kind of from the beginning.
Kind of from the beginning. Okay. I've got this. I'm just gonna share it again because it's gonna be easier to do it like that. I've got this online course, which is a 4-week course on LinkedIn, which is gonna help you take your profile and optimize it so that you will get in front of the right kind of people. It's 13 lessons where I'm gonna walk you through each of the steps throughout the entire profile. I'm gonna walk you through the networking part of it and the branding part of LinkedIn. And I've put up here that if you get it before the webinar ends, but I'm gonna give you, if you click the offer down here, then it'll be good for 48 hours for you to get this. And Catherine, she's taken the course, and this is her testimonial, and it's just, I'm so happy that my course helped Catherine really leverage her LinkedIn profile here, because a lot of people, I'm sure, feel like Catherine did. It's overwhelming to be on LinkedIn. It's another platform that you need to dive into. But LinkedIn is so important for your career that you really need to take it seriously. And I really do take you through this series, this course step by step, with clear action steps to take from each video. The videos are, the longest one is like 10 minutes long, so it's not something that'll take hours to complete. You get access to all the content right away, and everything here is included. If you buy within the next 48 hours through the link that Andrea has shared with you down in the offer section here, then you get this for $97, and you get one 45-minute Skype session with me where I'm gonna give you my feedback on your profile. And we can do that in the beginning or after you've gone through the course. I'm gonna give you a lifetime membership to the course, which is otherwise, after the 4 weeks, there's a membership part of, or payment for the course, but you get that as well. So you get all this for $97 if you take action and buy the course within the next 48 hours. So
awesome. Any other questions from folks?
And I'm gonna stop sharing this. There we go. Yeah, if we can take some quick questions here.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be $97 just for the Skype session alone, for the feedback and wisdom. Yeah, I agree with you, Catherine.
Thanks, Catherine.
It's helpful stuff. I mean, I even learned some stuff. There are things that I have already changed in my profile since I met Niels, a few weeks ago. I don't really leverage LinkedIn like I probably could, because right now I have a waiting list for clients. So I'm like, stop the madness. But this is really, really useful and helpful. And I just appreciate you, Niels, for taking the time to create the slides and to come on and empower my tribe, because I know what I know, but you know a lot more and have really seen some great results. And that's obviously, that's what we want. I'm committed to bringing to the people who are in my tribe the things that work, because I think for most of us as entrepreneurs, especially for online business people, we get flooded with new courses and new trainings and new masterclasses. So I like to really do my due diligence and find out what's really working and what's going to make an impact in your life and in your business. So thank you, Niels.
Well,
thank you for everyone who has been here. Yes, overwhelm is a challenge. I know, Birgit. So we are going to be bringing you more resources to, master and overcome the sense of overwhelm so that you can perform at your best with less stress, as Niels is always talking about, so that you have more to give to the people and projects that are most important to you. So I thank you all for being here. You will get an email with the replay. And Niels, if you would just send me the PDF of the slides so that I can share that with everyone, that would be most helpful for anyone who's missed it, so that they can follow right along.
I will do that. And thank you. I appreciate for giving me the opportunity to be on here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. All right, guys. Have a great
Thank you.
rest of the week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.